You are listening to Conversations on the Rocks, the podcast where my guest chooses the topic, and I am your host, Kristen Dokas. This week, I'm chatting with Paul Gosselin, who I actually met on Twitter because we both were madly in love with the longest-running soap opera, The Guiding Light. And when Guiding Light got taken off the air, Paul decided to move forward with the dream that he's always had, which was to create his own soap opera. Paul's going to talk to us about how he did that, what we can expect from the next seasons of Misguided. So grab your favorite cocktail or a cup of joe, and let's get started. Hi, everybody. This is Kristen Dokas. I am the host of Conversations on the Rocks, and today I have with me Paul Gosselin. And Paul and I are going to talk about creativity, storytelling, and something that's a little bit of a historic, or actually prehistoric thing, which are soap operas, which that's actually how Paul and I stumbled upon each other, is our love of the longest running soap opera, Guiding Light. Hi, Paul.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being up so early. Nobody will know this but us, but Paul's on the West Coast in Los Angeles, and he so kindly got up before 6 a.m., so it's 6 a.m. out in LA, and I appreciate that. I know the life of a Manny, you are on the go a lot, and I really appreciate the fact that you made time out of your morning to join us to record. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
So I grew up wanting to be an actor, and so I really fell in love with the genre of soap operas and made that like my life mission. So in high school, I took acting classes and found a school in New York City that had a television program for acting, and it included a daytime drama acting class. So I followed that school and I went to an audition. I got accepted and spent 2 years there. After graduation, I stayed in New York for 9 years, booked a couple under 5 roles on One Life to Live, and then kept trying to make it onto Guiding Light, because that was the dream.
Right.
And then, unfortunately, in 2009, Guiding Light was canceled. And I didn't really have another reason to stay in New York other than that's just where I'd been living. And I thought, why don't I try LA? So I moved to LA, and LA has been very kind to me in the creativity department. And I've sort of made this Guiding Light dream a reality in my own way, which is what we can talk about, I guess, and how we can go from there.
Before we get into that, I want to get your opinion. I have my opinions on it. Why do you think soap operas couldn't make it? Because almost all of that, I think, maybe 3 are still on the air?
There's 4 still on the air. And I don't know if it's necessarily that they couldn't make it. They're still doing well. And the pandemic has actually helped ratings because people are now home,
right,
which I think is one of the causes of the decline in soaps is that nobody was home to watch them during the day, because they were originally centered to entertain housewives while they did their chores. And when women started working more, the audience started disappearing. And then you added cable networks, and the option for television entertainment became larger. And then a lot of people contribute O.J. Simpson's trial to being one of the biggest downfalls of daytime drama, because it was its own soap opera in and of itself, but it also preempted a lot of the shows that then they needed to, if they were home and they were watching it, they were trying to find something else to watch if they weren't watching the trial. So
interesting. I've never heard that.
Yeah.
But it makes sense. And interesting, that could actually have been the precursor to the fascination with reality type soap operas, such as
for sure,
the Kardashians. And I know my oldest daughter is totally into the Vanderpumps.
Can I tell you, as someone that loves soaps, I've never gotten into them. Like, I don't even watch any of the Real Housewives.
Mm-mm.
I don't know. Give me my residents of Springfield and Oakdale and Genoa City. Like, I am happy.
Yeah, I don't either. She watches, all of the ones that you just mentioned. Mm-hmm. And every time I sit down with her, I just feel like several of my brain cells just fly out of my head.
Yes, that seems very accurate.
So let's talk a little bit about Misguided.
Okay. So, like I said, I sort of made my guiding light journey happen on my own. And I created this show Misguided after I did a storytelling show in LA called Mortified. Mortified is a storytelling show where people get up on stage and read letters or poems or diary entries that they wrote as angsty youth. And my story centers around all of these letters that I wrote to the powers that be at Guiding Light on how to make the show better. And it included me writing storyline opportunities for them to use. If a character or an actor was being in contract negotiations to like leave the show or something that was in the magazines, I would write to them and try to start a fan campaign to like save my favorite characters. And so that sort of rekindled the love that I had for Guiding Light. And I created a show to have content because everybody needs content if you want to be an actor or whatever in this industry. And so I thought, well, I know about soaps and I know about Guiding Light. And if I make something that sort of resonates with me, maybe it will resonate with someone else wanting this dream or wanting a dream that they could potentially have. And so I thought, let me write this show called Misguided. I'm going to go to Susan Lucci's Star, the biggest soap opera icon I think that there is in American soap operas, at least, and sort of use her as a source of inspiration. So my series goes to her Star every episode, and I sort of talk about an episode of what's going to happen, and then the episode takes place. And I cast soap stars in it, which I thought would help give it some clout in that first season, because I didn't really know where it was going to go or what it was going to become. And that first season was 5 episodes. They were like 4 or 5 minutes long, and they all centered sort of around a specific person in someone's life wanting to be a soap actor. So like you have your friend who is a soap actress. I created this fictitious casting director of a soap opera, a writer, a producer, and then 2 other friends that I also knew from acting in soaps were in it. And I sort of just did it. And then I thought maybe I could write some more, and then I could write some more. And I was like, wow. And then I started casting even bigger names in soaps. And it just sort of snowballed into me getting to act along these legends and people in soaps that I've always wanted to work with. And now the series is up for a pre-nomination for a Daytime Emmy in digital drama. Like what just happened?
That's incredible. How was it, approaching some of these actors and actresses? Were they receptive to it? Did you have a little resistance? How much convincing was there? How did that happen?
It's been actually really easy, which seems really weird because I just asked, and I've learned really quickly that the worst thing that someone could say is no.
Yes.
And it doesn't mean anything. It's just they can't do it. And they can't do it for a number of reasons. It's scheduling, or most of the time it was scheduling, because I was very upfront with season 1. It was all favors. Like I didn't have a budget. Everything that was done was all out of pocket for me. And all my friends did it for free as a favor. And then I started raising money through Kickstarter. And then I did a Seed and Spark fundraiser for season 3. So I could pay some people, because of these bigger names, I wanted to become a little bit more professional. And so I learned, here's what I should ask. I should include, this is what I've done season 1. This is what I'm hoping for season 2, the storyline. I would love for you to play this. If you use a little bit of flattery, it helps. Yes, I've learned, and just kindness. Like I try to be and honesty. Like this is the budget. This is what I'm working with. This is where I sort of see the show going. Like this is it. And I would love for you to be a part of it. And it's been really great. I've had direct contact with actors, or I've learned that is not as appropriate as reaching out to their management and whatnot. But it's also the easiest way to get in touch with someone. Yeah. So if you just reach out on their Facebook page and like, I could do it this way and just cut out the middleman. But then they'll say, this is great, wonderful. Just reach out to my agent just so everything's on the straight and narrow. And I have, and everything seems to work out.
Right. Because if you can cut out the middleman, They're getting more
Yes.
money anyhow. Having had to go through that realm myself, it's challenging. So
Yeah.
sometimes it's hard to even find their management.
Yeah, I like to think of it as a gift. That I if in another lifetime, maybe I will work for the FBI because I can really snoop out things. I used to be able to find these guys. Anyway, short story, I would be out at a bar drinking or whatever, and I would be like, oh, I had this really great conversation with this guy, but I didn't get his name. I heard his phone number or whatever. I got his first name, but I think that was it. And I think maybe the place he worked. And next day at work, blah, 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 I type in a few things. Oh, look, here's his Facebook friends. Here's his Facebook profile. I got it. No problem.
In the world of dating, it's very handy to be very sleuthy
Yes.
for our own safety. So
Yes,
where are
exactly.
you with the series now?
So I released a third season. So we're up to 16 episodes. I released that last year, currently writing the fourth season, which is the writing part is probably the most challenging for me because I never once considered myself a writer,
Mm-hmm.
but it's been nice because I've been able to exercise these muscles that I've never really worked on. But I've loved the art of storytelling. And I've loved soap operas and how they can serialize a story that like takes place. You have like a 2-year arc. You can tell a story in soaps because they're there 5 days a week, every week. And with the short form, I'm trying to do that, but also like really rapidly pick up the pace. So in a season, I have 5 episodes. In this last season, I had a boyfriend that I just met that season. I introduced him through 1 episode in a flashback, and then we move in together. We get engaged, and then we have a wedding in 1 season. Because I thought I'd love to do a soap opera wedding. And I was like, the only way I can do this is do it really, really fast. And it seems to work out. Like, I think people are used to these short forms, quicker pace. But I think I'm able to draw on the soap opera arc and sort of just condense it in what I don't need. And it works out for the series. But I was hoping to film and release a 4th season this year. Whether or not that happens, I don't know, just because I don't know what the future looks like at the moment. Exactly.
Right now, we are living a soap opera. Just
Yeah,
a really boring one.
It's definitely not very exciting. I would love like some sort of love triangle or something happening right now. Just anything. Where's my evil twin?
Well, I tell you what, we should all be taking notes because all these couples that are married or not married that are all quarantined together, there's going to be so much drama coming out of this.
Yes. There has to be.
I mean, my God. I was joking early at the very beginning of it when you could still find something to laugh about is that we had the theory that the virus was devised by divorce lawyers. Because they're going to be the ones that benefit from this.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And on social media, it's like, where's all my happy couples? I haven't heard you post in a while.
Yeah, that's very true.
So you could probably dedicate a good 5 minutes of the next series to,
Yeah, I've been trying to think too, like what will the world look like in this new version of it when we come out of all of this? Like, I'm sure like in any sort of embrace is going to be a little bit different than what it was before. And even like a simple handshake, those may not even exist now.
Right.
So when I'm writing something, I'm like trying to envision that, but also like
that's a good point.
Just be like, how do we live in this new world, and how does this even affect these characters that I've created and worked on?
That is a great point because you got to look ahead to. You don't want it to look outdated.
Yeah. I want it to still be fresh. And I'm sure there'll be things that will obviously like creatively come up in the moment that just happen and whatever. But like story wise, how does this even work? So it's very interesting. I had a castmate email me yesterday, and she thought maybe we could potentially do a Zoom type of episode. And I thought that would be cool. I don't know how it works yet, but
Right.
I also think there's a lot of things that people that are doing that stuff. So I want to like let them have that. And I don't necessarily need to throw my hat into that and have it rushed and whatnot. But the idea that this is our new normal, and the stories that are going to come from this are going to be interesting to see going forward.
I was watching, so I'm already catching myself doing that. I was watching something last night, and there was a crowded restaurant or something like that. And I caught myself thinking, well, there's something we won't be seeing for a while. So I'm already catching myself having these kind of thoughts. And obviously this is something that's been recorded forever ago. It's interesting because this particular podcast I've been sitting on for about a year and a half and just never got around to doing it. And I've, of course, time on my hands, I decided to get it going. But because my original thought was, well, everybody's at home and everybody's absorbing content, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And in a community of other podcasters. And it's interesting because across the board, their podcasts are 40% down.
Oh.
And they think about it, or not, their theory is because the majority of people listen to podcasts during a commute.
Yes.
And no one's commuting. So it's interesting that we went into this thing thinking one thing as far as creativity and content, and I do it because I love it. It's a creative outlet for me, right?
Right.
And I have so many wicked smart friends that everybody needs to know about. However, I definitely going into this at the beginning stages in March, we're actually at 5:00 today. Our shelter in place is gone. We go into phase 1.
Oh, okay.
Which is not that much different, but still it's hope. It's hope.
Yeah.
And, I definitely did not get all the creative things done that I wanted to, because just as humans, we only have so much capacity. And right now, I think most of us are just trying to stay sane.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, for sure. There was definitely a lot that I thought that I would be able to do. And I think also being luckily able to work during this time, like my job, I went from having like a 25, 30 hour work week turn into a 60 plus hour work week, just because I'm living here now as a Manny. So it's definitely like changed my personal time. So like the time that I would work on writing and whatever. I did manage to, I don't even know how, but I managed to find time to re-edit season 1 so I can release a director's cut, essentially.
Oh, cool.
I don't know when yet. I want to make sure I do it properly, but that's done. And I'm hoping to do it for the second season, only because I learned to edit during this whole process as well. And not to say that the first season is terrible. It's just could have been better. And so that I've learned more and more about editing, and I've got a better software now. And so
what are you using?
I'm using Premiere Pro currently.
Oh, okay. That is a rabbit hole that I cannot go down. Because I would love to. Don't get me wrong. I would love to. But I know if I start going down that rabbit hole, I'll be gone. I'll be lost for...
That's exactly kind of how I'm at right now. I was like, let me just figure all of this out. And season 1 and 2, I did on a cloud-based editing software called WeVideo. Mm-hmm. And so because at the time I only had a Chromebook and I edited everything on that. So I needed to upload to the cloud all of the files. In the cloud, I needed to like edit and do all the cutting and splicing and whatever, and then download that so that I can watch it and make sure it's okay. And if it didn't work, restart and do that again. So it was a long process, just uploads and downloads and everything in between. So Premiere Pro was definitely a wise investment, but it is a huge undertaking if you don't really know what you're doing. And I have very minimal basic editing skills. So this idea of, let me see what this does and what does this do? And Google is 1000% my friend. If I don't know what I'm doing, it's like, how do I do this in Premiere Pro? Boom. And there's a tutorial for it. Like, thank goodness for that.
Yeah. It's fun. Last time I was out in California, I sat next to a guy that was editing and I just was amazed. I just sat there and stared over his shoulder, and he probably thought I was a creeper, but I was just fascinated because of all the stuff that he was doing and so quickly. And I was very jealous.
Yeah, it's definitely, there's a lot, and there's a lot you can do, and which I think is cool, and I'm still able to learn, which is great, which is why I thought maybe I should go back and just see like how I can improve or what I can do differently, and I think it turned out pretty nicely. So I'm excited to re-release it and get more people interested, I guess.
So we only have a few more minutes left, believe it or not. Crazy. I mean, about 5 minutes, but still. What would be your recommendation for folks that are looking to tap into, doing their own thing? Because the nice thing about our world now is that there's so many ways for creators to get their content out. What would be some suggestions and inspiration that you would have for young creators?
Is this the first one I would say is take a breath and then do it. And it seems very vague and whatnot, but like if you just take that first step into doing whatever you want to do, whether it's creating a podcast or creating a web video series or doing a vlog type show on YouTube, just do your first one. And that helps get the ball rolling, because you start to get used to the idea of, oh, I can do this now. I can do this next thing after I do this, and this next step comes after. And then a second thing I would do is also find a person or persons to collaborate with. I never really wanted to have a show or a series or whatever that was like done by Paul Gosselin, done by Paul Gosselin, done by Paul Gosselin. Like my name is just the whole credits. It's kind of how that is, only because that's just how it turned out. But I found people that can do things that I can't do. I've had the same director of photography since day one in Misguided, and Robin Romer has been amazing. And she's been like an excellent collaborator and partner with, because she knows all about shots and setups and everything like that. So I am able to rely on her skill set. And then with the soap actors and just friends that I had that I cast in season 1, like it was just that matter of asking and getting someone to partner up with me. And because I can't do scenes by myself. I mean,
right.
I could. I don't think anyone would watch, or I don't think it'd be that interesting. But it's definitely finding those people in that group that you can work alongside. And I think the same thing goes with podcasting. If you wanted to start a podcast, you can do it by yourself and then have a 30-minute conversation alone and just monologue. But if you find the people you want to interview and you start there, and that gives you the foundation to then grow and grow and grow to people you don't know, and expand the circle. And that's sort of what Misguided became. It became actors that I had never met before, but I've always wanted to work with. And because I had this group in the beginning that was able to do it and put together a show, I said, this is what I was able to do. Would you want to be a part of this so that it can grow and become something bigger? So those are my two big takeaways.
Well, and you hit one of my favorite life lessons at the very beginning, which is, I've taught my girls this, the worst that's going to happen is they say no.
Absolutely.
Because people want to take everything personally.
Yes.
And that's that right there is, and I, especially with one of my girls, it's like, it's not personal, it's business, or it's, it's just ask. If they say no, then you move on. It's Absolutely. A much faster response than sitting there and beating around the bush.
Absolutely. I wish the dating scene was more like that.
Right?
Don't ghost. Just tell me no.
Tell me. I'm not gonna cry.
Right? I mean, I'll probably cry a little bit.
Maybe, but still, I mean, yeah, right? And especially as adults, I'm like, I'm 51. No. Really? Are we still dealing with the same BS that we did when we were in high school? Anyways, I'm going to put all your links in the show notes, but Awesome. Go ahead and give a shout out to where everybody can find you and your fabulous series.
Everyone can find me anywhere, pretty much anywhere on social media as at Cosmopolitan, Paul, Paulitan. And then I'm Misguided is on Instagram as Misguided Series. And then you can find it at misguidedseries.com or on YouTube.
Excellent. Okay, so you asked me a question, and I give everybody an opportunity to ask me a question. And my question that Paul gave me was, who was my favorite character on Guiding Light? And you probably remember this.
I think I do.
But it was Cassie, and my youngest daughter is named after a Guiding Light soap opera.
I love it. I love it.
We were actually talking about that the other night, and people always laugh at that. And I'm like, no, really, it's Cassie. And I literally had to put Cassandra on her birth certificate, as we in the South call it. She had to have a porch calling name.
I love that.
But yeah, Cassie was my favorite character towards the end. Bridget, I always loved Bridget. So.
Oh, I will say the actress that played Bridget, I reached out to her to be in Misguided, and she was one that just said no, and I had to accept and move on, and that was it. But I really loved Bridget, and I loved her dynamic with Nadine.
And who was yours?
Oh my God. I think my favorite one on Guiding Light was Annie Dutton.
Oh, yeah.
I think hands down. And I love Josh and Reva, but like Annie in that mix, Cynthia Watros, and I told her this, so I was so blessed to have her in the series. When she was on screen, those years that she was on Guiding Light, it was as if I was watching a master class in acting, because the way that she transformed this innocent character into someone with a drug problem to then becoming this psychopath obsessed with Josh and Reva. Like, the arc was amazing to watch, and the writing was fantastic then, and she just delivered like outstanding performances day after day, and it was captivating to watch. So I was very lucky when she said yes to being in my series.
I really wish we could go back. I enjoyed that.
I know.
It was always a nice escape, which is the whole reason, like you said in the beginning, the history of how they came to be was as an escape for those poor, innocent housewives that were stuck at home doing laundry and ironing and all the other horrible things.
When I'm feeding Jasper, the littlest one here, I'm giving him a bottle. I sometimes will put on General Hospital, and I'm like, I am living the best life that I can live right now. Like, I'm watching my stories, I'm feeding the baby. Like, I'm living my dream at some point in my life. This is cool.
I love it. All right, well, we are done for this episode, and I really appreciate the fact that you came on, especially so early. And
no, thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Good. Well, I am signing off on this recording, and we'll catch you later, folks. And that, my friends, is a wrap on this week's show. Thanks so much for listening. You can get all of the episodes at conversationsontheRocks.com. You can also follow me on Twitter, and that's at Kristen Daukas, KristenDaukas. Until next week, keep it real, and let's hear what your story is.